Alright, this is the next technique under the section Immediate Tips and Tricks for Addiction Control. This one is called mental sparring. I'm sure there's other techniques out there similar to this one, but this is one that I developed myself. After meditating one night, I came to the conclusion that I realized that as thoughts that I don't want in my mind, as they began to bubble up, that sometimes they would be extremely forceful, and other times they'd be kind of weak and easy to dismiss. So, which indicates to me that you not only have thoughts, but you have a kind of kinetic energy, that a mental kinetic energy that accompanies the thought as it comes into your mind. So immediately, because I was into martial arts and the concept of martial arts and using your opponent's energy against the opponent, this immediately kind of spawned an idea, and I had to play with it a little while, a few times, to really kind of figure out how I could get this to work. But the idea is, why not treat these negative thoughts as opponents in the same way you would treat an opponent in the martial arts, which is by using the energy of the opponent against itself. So in martial arts, if somebody comes at you with a swing, what we usually do in our minds is we block the punch, head on. We're just like, no, I don't want you in here, let's get you out of here. And we're blocking the punch. Well, that's wearing us down. You have your mental kinetic energy, and you're dealing with a sock coming at you, and you're butting it head to head. It's going to wear you down, and we all know it wears us down. How many of us that have tried to control our thoughts just go at it head first and try to completely confront it and push it out of our mind, only to find out that we've completely worn ourselves out mentally by trying to do that. So in martial arts, as the opponent comes at you, you actually accept the punch or accept the attack, and you use that force of attack coming at you. You either step off to the side or bring it into you against the opponent. The opponent is expecting a solid, impact. Whereas if you don't allow that solid impact, and you complete the motion of the energy that your opponent comes at you with, you pull their arm through or whatever, you're going to throw your opponent off balance. And simply by using their energy against themselves, they're exerting themselves, and you're barely doing any exertion. You're pretty much just kind of like stepping out of the way and helping them follow through to their own defeat. So I had to really think about this, because in order to use the mental mechanic or mental kinetic energy of the thoughts against the thoughts themselves, you have to really kind of understand where the mind is at, how the mind works. You have to have kind of a deep internal understanding of the constructs of how these concepts actually work in the mind. So it took me a minute to really figure out how to actually do this. But once I figured it out, it works great. Okay, now, why mental sparring? Why are we using mental sparring in addiction control? It's obvious. You have a thought that you want to use arise in your mind. Especially, this is probably going to help more for people that are mentally addicted to drugs rather than physical addictions like heroin. But it will also work with heroin. Okay, so the thought starts to arise in your mind. Now what you're going to want to do is, let's see if I can kind of explain how this works. So you have your raw thought material, okay? These are all the little thoughts and ideas and seeds of thoughts and ideas that run around before they actually develop into a full-fledged thought. Now they're running around, and as they gain momentum and energy in whatever this limbo area is, your subconscious, or between your subconscious and your conscious mind, they gain momentum and energy and then break through as they're forceful enough to break through into your conscious realm and actually attack you consciously, and attack your attention, get your attention, and cause you to indulge in that thought. So as it comes through, these thoughts, it's kind of like binary for a computer. These thoughts are just like, it's just kind of like a mental energy, right? It's taking shape, but when it breaks through into your conscious mind, it takes form. It takes an actual like visual, audio kind of form. And so what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to detect as these thoughts are coming through, and we're going to create the form for them. So as a thought comes through, instead of coming out as a thought of, you know, a needle and a spoon and that needle going into your vein and how that feels, we're going to redress it. We're going to put a second skin over it, a second layer over it, and we're going to create an actual opponent, a mental opponent in a sparring arena in your mind. So what you're going to want to do is decide on the arena that you want to use. Once you decide the arena you want to use, stick with it. The more you stick with it, the faster this process happens and the more automatic it happens. So my arena of choice is just a cityscape in the middle of a city, an abandoned city. Okay, you may you may like to choose something like an open field, or a battle scenario in outer space, or whatever. Just it's totally up to you. Whatever you feel comfortable in, whatever you think would be like the most entertaining for you personally, that's the arena that you want to create. Okay, as the thought begins to surface up and you feel it coming, okay, you're going to have to kind of pay attention to this process. The more you pay attention to it, the more you're going to understand it, the better you can do the mental sparring. So as the thought begins to come through, immediately you're going to want to create the arena, and as the arena is created, you're going to want to have a set character for that specific type of thought. So if you have several thoughts that are disturbing you, you're going to have one character for heroin, one character for sexual thoughts, one character for cocaine, one character for angry and hatred, hateful thoughts. And as these thoughts arise, the more you associate that character with that thought, the faster and the more automatic the process becomes. So for heroin, the dude comes up, it's going to be a life-size needle with arms and legs and an eye patch or whatever. So you design these characters that are associated with each type of bothersome thought that you have. That way these characters happen automatically. As these thoughts come up into your consciousness, the character takes form almost immediately. So the more you use it, the more automatic it becomes. And as the character comes at you, you literally hold a mental sparring session where you're like in your mind having a good time beating the crap out of your opponent. So this does two things. It completely skins these thoughts. It is somewhat of a distraction, first of all. So as you're going off into the land of sparring with a thought, it distracts you of the actual thought that you're going to want to go use or whatever. And the second thing it does is it associates that thought with that practice, and the more you beat your opponent, literally the more that thought that you have redressed in that skin or in that opponent, the more that thought is going to lose control over time. It's going to lose the amount of force that it comes into your consciousness with. So go ahead and use martial arts techniques in your mind too. Have them come at you with a punch, pull them aside, throw them into a building, do like a big Dragon Ball Z type of a fight. It's up to you. Just as long as the outcome is that you defeated it, you're in total control of the arena. You're in total control of how the whole thing goes down. So you're in total control of the outcome of the sparring match. So yeah, that's mental sparring. It works wonderfully. I don't even know how to explain how awesome, how stoked I was when I actually was able to figure out how to get it to work and got it working. The thoughts come slower and slower with less and less power. You're actually utilizing the actual mental kinetic force. So yeah, there you have it. That's that technique. Sorry for the cut at the end there. So see you in the next video.